Hello, hello, hello. We have Mandee Elam from Sea Goddess Healing Arts, just like we always do on Mondays, because she's my jam partner on Mondays. Hi, Mandee. How are you?
I'm good. What's up, Crystal? I'm excited for our Monday night jam. It's always a good
I am
time.
too. Yeah, it's a good day for me. I got to pick Ben up. He's been gone since last Thursday, Friday. I can't remember. He went on a work trip, so I got to see him today. I was like, woohoo! I get to pick him up right before I come live with Mandee. I was like, it's a great Monday.
Oh, how sweet.
So, we have three people. Nobody's talking yet, but what do you want to talk about tonight? Hi, Jennifer.
Hey, Jennifer. I'm so excited you're here. There's a lot. Let's see. So we have a new moon going on in Aquarius right now, and it's super strong, potent, wild energies. People have been getting irritable easily. People have been it's kind of this energy of being sick of your own bullshit and wanting to make some changes. And it's also super revolutionary. It feels like liberating but somber in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of different past karmas coming up for people to kind of deal with and look at, whether it's past patterns of their own self, how they've been showing up in their relationship with themselves and with others. And a lot of people are like at their breaking point. It's like a breaking point time. It's an opportunity for us to be like, what is this in me? And it brings up, Ursula was saying, our astrologist, it brings up a lot
She's here tonight.
Hey,
Ursula's here.
Yeah. So Ursula was saying it can bring up a lot of rage, but as well as inspiration. It's like this really radical, beautiful energy that's all about creating your own freedom. And so there's a lot of heads butting and things coming into light right now, and energies happening for us in order to make kind of some massive change and transition in our life right now. And this new moon in Aquarius, it's super revolutionary, and it's important to see what these seeds are in you that are wanting to be planted and figure out what it is you got to do to nurture them. Like, it's all about reparenting yourself right now and then creating as much freedom as you can. Everyone is finding places in themselves where they're feeling a little bound, or they're not being able to speak their truth or show up in the way that they're wanting to. And this new moon is making us get really real on that in a lot of ways.
See, I love that. And that's why I love jamming with you, because we all know Crystal takes zero responsibility most of the time for a lot of things. Don't look up moon stuff, but everything you're saying. I started therapy again last week because some things have come up, in my life over the past year, and things are like actually getting really bad. So it's actually re-triggered my PTSD. And I am really struggling lately with nightmares, night terrors, and also like being able to sleep, which is also affecting my daytime life and my job and all of these other things. So I was like, I really need some help, and I really need to start kind of looking at these things differently, because it's not it's safe to feel emotions, but it's not safe to feel those emotions forever. So like when I feel anger coming up, that's not me. I'm not an angry person. But when I'm angry and I'm getting triggered all the time and I'm not knowing how to pull myself back, I know generally that there's something going on. But also, I know that I need to reopen a door and try to find different ways to heal what that is and kind of get to the bottom of it. And so it sounds like the new moon is pretty much everything that I've been experiencing. And so even though it's a diagnosed PTSD, there's still accountability and understanding and pulling ourselves back, no matter how hard that looks sometimes. But everything you just said makes sense to this new moon coming in, because there's a lot of doors that are being closed in my chapter and Ben's chapter and our chapter together. And it's going to kind of cause but at the same time, it's going to be a beautiful experience. And I know clients, we have Jennifer, Tracy, Ursula, Sophia, Heather, we have a lot of people. Tracy and Katie Sue all here tonight right now talking. And I know all of them have talked about it in the past too, how they kind of have these things going on in their own lives. And I know my clients do too. So what you just described was beautiful. Thank you for giving us that knowledge.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're right on divine, beautiful track. And like, this is the work that we want to do the most during the retrogrades, during Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde, and then acknowledging this energy during this new moon. That's that karma thing playing out, where it's like, okay, I could repeat some of these old patterns that, I used before to help me survive and help me cope, but I've got better ones now. And it always, like we said in the beginning, it comes down to this point where you're like, I just don't want to feel like this anymore.
Yep.
And I want to figure out how to shift or change that. I know it's not going to be easy. I know I got to deal with my wounds and this and that, but when you start to look at all of that and really jump in, actually today, Ursula, my sweet business partner who's on here and soul sister, for Christmas got me a Louise Hay calendar, because we all know I love Louise Hay, and she has one too. And today it is, within myself I see a loving, beautiful being. It is safe for me to look within. And buffaloes are super, they represent a lot of prosperity and self-worth as well. And so these things that are coming up in us, though they're uncomfortable, though it doesn't feel good, though we're going back into PTSD and things like that, it's happening for us, to clear us, to shed light on it, to give us more permission and more freedom into ourselves. Ultimately, we want to be free from that. We can't ever say it didn't happen. It's our life. It's what happened. It's what existed. However, what we can do is release the emotional charge that it has attached to us. And a lot of times when the symptoms are coming back up, it's just because you've created a safe enough container to actually heal it. Right? So you're doing this. You're like, all right, I feel this. This is all coming up, and I'm going to go to therapy, and we're going to do the damn thing. It doesn't feel good. It's scary. It sucks. Who wants to get the nightmares? However, when you're more aware of what it is, and you're more aware of the fact that you're wanting to tackle it, things just, they start to fall into alignment, and it happens for us. It's like that cracked open thing where you're breaking open and expanding even more.
And it's beautiful. Like, hi, mermaid in the mountains. So it's a beautiful experience, because I can also, before we sat on, I had an angel sequence number, and I looked up in my trusty book that I carry. It's with my Louise Hay book now. And it was essentially, honor your growth. Honor your growth. And so, during these moments, it's really kind of cool to even look back, even though I feel anxious and fearful and all those fun things that we feel with those emotions. I can look back and I still love myself so much, because 10 years ago when I was experiencing this, it was so different. And it was horrendous. It was where I was at the time with what I had to cope with. But I have grown so much, and I'm like, damn, girl, like, look at you, all that growth and such. And still, no matter like how split in the middle I am in that moment, I can still find a way to love myself and be like, you know what, Crystal, I love and approve of you, and you are doing fantastic. I know you feel like crap right now, but let's keep up that good work. And I also have to say this, I absolutely love our people, Mandee. They are the most beautiful people.
What is up, Monday homies? You guys are amazing.
They're talking to each other, and I love them. They're like all buds now. And I love that you guys have your own little soul circle. It makes me happy.
I think we're going to do something about this. We might need to create some sort of container or some sort of spirit speak support group or something where we can continue these conversations, because this is wonderful. And you know what? Like, for me, I'm someone who, not only am I an intuitive ascension guide, but I'm someone who's here to help the women and help the women heal the sisterhood wound. And it just warms my heart when I see people reaching out and supporting one another, even if they've never met one another. They're just like, hey, you're held, you're loved. What's up? What's going on? So it's brave. It's not easy. It can be uncomfortable, but like, I applaud you all. And I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so glad you're connecting with one another. And like, we're just so grateful for you. Way to do the work.
I love it, because it's like, it's live, so like anybody can see, but at the same time I feel like we're in our own little protected space, and it makes me feel safe, and I feel like they feel safe too. So I absolutely love it. And I keep getting hair in my mouth. I'm sorry. I'm like trying to eat my own hair here. Like,
that's okay. That's okay. For everyone who's just tuning in, we were talking a little bit about the new moon energy that's rising right now in Aquarius. There's a lot of things. People are desiring to feel free. They're desiring to feel their own freedom. And sometimes that comes with the shadow work, like dealing with your own PTSD or things that have been keeping you feeling like you're bound or you're not free. And it can be, a little bit rageful and a little bit inspiring and liberating and somber. And there's been physical symptoms with ascension stuff going on. So if you've just been feeling a lot of feelings, particularly some irritability coming up, it's very in alignment right now. And we're going to be jamming about that a bit. So if you guys have any questions or want to, or any comments or want us to talk about anything in particular, let us know.
And so, like you just said, ascension, it's been coming up over the past like week and a half, 2 weeks with like all of my clients to make them go. Because when I'm doing readings, I write a whole bunch of stuff down and then like we'll send it to people. And sometimes it takes a minute because computers. But at the same time, like ascension symptoms have been coming up. I know.
You're whispering them like, work with
Tracy me. Specifically. And Tracy here, because she's the one that like Spirit was like, no, give her a minute. But at the same time, it's cool how much is coming up lately, and them having people Google the spiritual ascension symptoms, because you would be flabbergasted to see what some of these symptoms are, like your head cold feelings, your stuffiness, allergies, specifically into the ears, muffled into the head and into the ears, down into the throat, scratchy throat, all those things. The disconnected, I call it medicine head or spiritual head, because it feels like you're disconnected from yourself, almost like you've got this floating balloon head over yourself, just looking down upon situations like ain't my shit, not taking care of it. And then the next thing you know, you've got all of these other, like, we have aches and pains that are taking place in our joints and our muscle structures and all these things that we're just like, bleh. But actually, DNA's changing, y'all. These are good things, and they don't feel good at the moment, but it's
Growing
literally
pains.
you're vibing higher, and it's causing you to experience physical attributes of what that growth looks like, which is also bringing all those things that Mandee just talked about, those healings, back up to the surface, because each level of healing that we get to, we open a different door. It's just like we're walking down a long hall that's got doors on either side. And so we go in one room, we come out of it, we feel good for a minute, and then we have to walk into the next one. And so it's just bringing it up in a different way and helping us get to those deeper levels of feelings that were associated, so we can poof, be gone and move forward and love ourselves through it. So that's kind of what's happening. If you're feeling any of those things, Google it. You'll be like, whoa.
And our bodies are faithful servants of our mind. We're not taught that, but we're discovering that, especially as science and spirituality are really merging right now. And all of our thoughts are what create the actions and reactions within our bodies. And so a lot of times, if your knee's acting up, there's something going on with your ego and you're pushing too hard, or you're working out of pride. If something's going on with like your lower back, there's usually money issues happening. Most of America has sciatica. There's a reason for that, because most of America is a paycheck or two away from bankruptcy or homelessness or whatever. There's all of these physical symptoms that show up in our body in order to tell us, hey, this is a little out of balance. This isn't working well for us right now. It's not serving us. Arthritis. So many people have arthritis caused by criticism, from criticizing ourselves. And we're so hard on ourselves. And there's a way to lovingly encourage ourselves and encourage ourselves to grow. And we all have our own self-talks. Like, I'm like, oh man, he's talking a little bitch sometimes when I'm like being a baby about things. But in my own heart and vibration and intention, that has a really positive connotation to me. So we'll come up with our own inner language and things. And it's important to figure out what's going to work for you in order for your vessel to start finding more peace and more healing. And just remember, when you do have a physical symptom going on, there's often not something wrong with you. It's often because of thoughts that we had for a long time or things we were ruminating on. And we have the opportunities to heal them and to fix them in so many ways, in addition to all the other resources we have. Oh, there's so many comments coming in.
I was like, I want everybody to know who's watching on YouTube. We can't see your comments. I don't know why they don't come through, but they do not. So I apologize for that. We would love to chat with you. We do have comments coming in. We have Sophia. She said that she felt that way this weekend, almost like being out of body. After the feelings went away, I felt more intuitive. Yep. And it's funny, I wonder what your thought process was during that. Did you love yourself? Did you talk to yourself? Did you breathe? I'm sure you took some steps to get there a little bit. And then Heather says, glad it's not just me feeling that way at times. Tracy says, I've been feeling, I love her. I'm going to read this comment because I love this. It says, I've been feeling super queasy, been crying a lot, and told my poor husband today to stop talking. I was going to cut him.
Okay, this is the exact energy I was talking about, Tracy. Thank you for being open, honest, and vulnerable.
Yeah, I'm gonna shank you, bro. I wouldn't, but it's kind of crappy. I'm gonna tell you, Tracy, fellow empath woman. I call those high vibrational energy days. That's when there's a lot of things happening. It can be Earth, universal, planetary. It can be anything. Okay. On those high vibrational days, I also tend to lose my ever loving crap, because guides, when they give me empathy, they do it in this way, which is a roller coaster, which just means that we are kind of wavy and don't really know how to pay attention to our own energies, or they give me spikes and drops, and it's like, shoot, a graph chart going, And that means we don't regulate ourselves very well because we don't know where it's coming from. So it feels like us sometimes, especially when you're that empath on steroids, it's hard to kind of separate yourself from things. And so I love that you were so honest, because once again, from my heart to yours, I feel you. But at the same time, in those moments, remember to take a little bit of a deep breath, love yourself, and be like, okay, what am I about to lose my crap over? Is it yours? Does it belong to you? Is there a reason for you to have that energy? Ask yourself the questions. Ask yourselves where it came from. Have those conversations with you. And at the end, if you can't figure out where it came from, then it's probably not you. And then we got to take a breath, push it away, give it away. It's not ours to keep. It's not ours to take on. And so you're taking on something else. And that's learning how to separate yourself. It will come better with time. Your patience will come with time. Give yourself time and patience through the time that it's taking you to get to that level. But that's really what that is. That's beckoning you to question your own self a little bit more, to find out who Tracy really is. What do you really feel like? Because it's probably been a long time since you felt Tracy. So that's how I'm going to put that. Heather says, I'm excited for Mandee's full moon worship coming up.
Yay!
You want to talk about that?
We do. We have a how to build a relationship with your angels full moon workshop coming up on Wednesday, February 16th, I believe, that Wednesday that week. Around 7:00 Eastern time. It goes for a couple hours, and it's with me. And we teach you all about how to build a relationship with your guide and your angels and what that looks like. And it's going to be super fun. And if you're feeling in tune, check it out. We have on SeaGoddessHealingArts.com. There's a classes page, and it's right there. It's a group class. We do a little bit of sharing, a little bit of magic. You'll learn some tools. It's held on Zoom, so you can tap in from anywhere in the world. And I think it's $33 for the workshop. So we would love for you to join us and hang out, and it's going to be great. So if you want to spend some time with your angels and guides, this is a great one to jump into.
Love that. And then Jennifer says, Mandee and Mitch, fabulous as always. I swear, I love that. I'm going to get it on the shirt. I swear I'm going
You're
to.
Mitch.
So she says, fabulous as always. You guys look great. May I ask a question about auras? How do you balance that energy inside of your own? What are some tools that you use?
Great question.
That is a good one. That's a good one. So do you want to take over? Or do you want me to start?
You can start, and then I'll join. Either or, I don't care.
So
you get something rising.
Now, with auras for me, there's a couple things that I do. It depends on what the energy is and what I'm feeling and how I'm feeling it, because I'm open to kind of everything, and I've kind of learned how to distinguish those things pretty well for myself. So, and also intuition. I got to tell y'all, when doing this, please pay attention to your intuition, because if you're getting a vibe from like Aunt Gertrude or something, and you think she's judging you based on past choices and decisions that you've made, and you're just feeling some negative energy, I'm going to tell you that's a cord that needs to be cut, with also in the energy field. And also going to tell you that that's kind of why we have to learn how to pay attention to those things. And that's why I'm saying it depends on what the energy is. Generally speaking, if it's something that I feel like is constantly getting into my field, I literally I go outside and I ground myself. And a lot of people ask if you have to go outside. I do for this specifically because it helps me connect with nature a little bit more. So I'll go outside and I ground, and I actually will see myself through a spiritual sense of above, looking down upon the crystal. And then I look at myself and I watch myself push the energy outside of me. And then I also place a bubble of protection from God, universe, whatever, and also angels around those. And then I also fill the bubble from the inside out with white light, love, protection, and healing for myself and for whoever it is that I'm feeling the energy from. Sometimes it feels like spirit to me, so I do whatever's guided to me to do it in that way. And then there's also a lot of other different ways. You can take baths with Epsom salts. You can just take a shower and thank your team for washing all the things out of your aura field that have clogged up. Also, when there's some things happening that I feel like are a little bit on the nastier side, I do call on St. Michael, and I thank him for taking any and all negative energies, entities, and or spirits that have clung to me, stuck to me, followed me by the hand, and leading them to God so he can dispose of them however he sees fit or correctly. And then I ask for that also to be for the highest good of all concerned. And those are the ways that I do it for myself.
I love it. I love it. And those are all really good things to do in the moment for your external shield, for your actual aura around you, which is your biomagnetic field. It goes out about 6 to 8 feet around you. And your aura, what it's doing, it's reflecting a lot of what's going on in your inner being. Not only does it reflect a bit of your soul and what your soul actually looks like and all of that good stuff, but it also reflects what's actually happening in your inner being. So there's a lot of things that you can do from within in order to cleanse your aura. Literally eating the rainbow. Like if you want a beautiful, sparkling rainbow kind of aura, literally eating healthy foods, eating the rainbow, things like that, staying hydrated enough. What reflects, like rainbow comes from like clear reflection, clear like water systems and things like that. And I love how you literally, because you not only is your name Crystal, but you call yourself the Crystal, and you are a crystal. Like really dope. We are all crystals. So you could literally, everybody could use Crystal's affirmation of when she's talking to herself as the Crystal. And doing what you can do to find ease and peace within yourself and release stress and find harmony. And like Crystal was talking about earlier, if you got to do some harder work and you've got to go to therapy or things like that, it's worth it. And that's what's going to do. That's what's going to help you to balance and cleanse your aura the most. And then the shielding, just always asking angels, surround me in white and blue light and protect me. All the time.
Yeah, you can also like take another step up. Like if you're really struggling with your chakras per se, because of the stuff, and this doesn't really pertain to your aura, but you can shut those down. Like a lot of people don't know this. They're not taught these things. Like I have a vault door that goes over each and every one of my chakras. Like if I'm in a place that's like just too much, or I'm feeling like I need a break, I take that vault door and I shut that thing, and then I spin it till it locks in place. And I thank all of my angels and guides for giving me the time that I need to replenish my own energy and allow things to stay on the outside of me. And then when I'm ready to open back up, I open that puppy back up, push that thing open, and then I'm back open and running again. I have a friend who has gold MC Hammer pants that she puts on. So it's just how you choose to do it. That's it works for you. But you can thank your team. I mean, you'll still receive things. It's not like you're going to be shut off completely. But at the same time, it will be more honorable to you and your energy where that energy is specifically. So that's kind of one of those things. And then Sophia says, I was observant and I tested my intuition a lot. Good for you. See, doing the work. That's what we do. That's what we do right there. Tracy says, I love you, ladies. I can't wait to tell my husband he needs to back off because I'm dealing with my high vibrational energy. Tracy, that's not what I said. I love you, honey. But in those moments, and Ben is on here too, I laughed, Mandee, not at you, but because he said, take it from a man who is married to a woman who has high energy days. He better listen.
Can I just say that I'm sure everyone on here has been really appreciating Ben and you guys and your love lately, and how much you guys have been showing it and talking about it, because it gives everyone hope. And especially because like when you show up and you do the work and like I've been talking a lot, this is a theme too, talking about transitioning from being codependent to interdependent, because in codependency, basically what's happening is you're showing up in a relationship where you're hoping that relationship is going to complete you to make you happy. And that we always find out, no matter, even if it works for a little while, it ends up kind of not working that well. And we're taught to be codependent because we have all these wounds and we had all these times that we needed to be dependent upon others. And like I said, we're not taught it. So it's unknown territory. But as we decide we want to transition from a codependent relationship into a more interdependent relationship, that's when two people who are finding their own happiness and their own healing and are feeling much more solid in themselves come together into a relationship. Then what happens is it turns synergistic, that 1 + 1 = 3. And all of a sudden there's like this other entity of the relationship. And you guys have just gone through a lot of the ups and downs, and you've done the work, and you've been showing up for one another, and you're like in a really great place right now, and you've been sharing it, and it's been really nice for all of us to like see and watch. So thank you.
I appreciate that. That's kind of why we did it, because we were not perfect. And I think that's like when we were at our lowest points, both of us are like kind of romantics, and we really wanted that. Like Crystal was right. Disney fucked me up, excuse my French. I needed that prince as a child, that's what I was looking for. And I had this, we've talked Midge. She's my Midge. I'm just going to say, this is my lady Midge in there. She's got that like more wretched old lady who's got to have the picket fence and the children and the house. And I wanted to be that housewife. And like, I was that for my first marriage. And that just was like completely wrecked. That was awful. That was horrible. That was a bad experience for me. It was a great learning experience. But in my moment, it's almost like it killed that part of me. And it was really difficult for me to get back. And both of us had very similar aspects. Like both of his relationships with his ex-wives literally mirrored mine, just in opposite terms. So his second marriage was his abusive marriage. His first marriage was his like neglectful marriage. But neither one of us were perfect. So even though we can say what we can say about those, we also understand through our own healing that like we contributed to those things too. Like I won't take responsibility for what my husband's did and he won't for his wives, but we also know where our bad crap lied. So we've chosen to take this in a different direction and fix those things in us so we don't repeat those cycles and we can be nice to each other. And sometimes, you know, we don't really know how much we're pushy. Like I have a pushy crystal inside of me that likes to micromanage men, you know, and be mom, but I'm not mom. You know, I'm not. And I'm not responsible for him. I'm not responsible for his happiness. And so he's still teaching me to grow in a peaceful way. And then vice versa for him. I also do it for him, like being accountable and doing things that he needs to do. And it is wonderful. And that's why we like to share about our relationship, because we know a lot of people also, we're not perfect. 20 years from now, we may not be together, and that'll be okay, because that's the way the universe works. But we're also healed enough to understand that today's the day. Like, that's it. This is what we're looking at. We're not going to freak out about 20 years in our future. We're just going to focus on today. And I think that's one of the things that was the most beautiful part of our growth together. So thank you for realizing that. And that's what we are trying to share. Thank you.
Like I said, it's been an honor to witness it. I also, right before that, I pulled out a book. You know me, I love my books and references. So this is a book called The Complete Guide to Crystal Healing, Energy Medicine for the Mind, Body, and Soul, by Peter Permit. And it's really great. And so I was talking to you guys about eating the rainbow and like what that looks like. Oh, I might have lost. I thought I had the page and then I think I lost it when we were chit-chatting. It's coming back. Here it is. So this is what your aura, this is kind of like a diagram of your aura. And it shows like the outside is like the mental plane. Then there's like a physical plane, the etheric plane, the emotional aura, the vital aura, the astral aura, and then the lower mental plane. And that's basically your conscious, your subconscious, your body, your traumas and dramas that are stored, the things that you're bringing in from past lives and stuff like that. So if you want to take a look at this little diagram, here we go. It literally kind of shows the rainbow coming out outside of you in the different layers. So each chakra is associated with a color, and then each color is associated with the rainbow. And there's different reasons for that. So our chakra centers end up reflecting out into our aura. And we can often see when there's an imbalance or if things are looking a little mucky or gray or things like that, once you're able to actually tune in and see the auras and what that looks like. And then same thing, here's a nice little diagram of chakras. Your root chakra is red, your sacral chakra has got some orange going on, your solar plexus is yellow, the heart is green, so that's why we send lots of green energy and crystals around the heart area. Throat is blue, third eye is like an indigo color, and then your crown chakra is a beautiful royal purple usually. And there's and that's another great tool you can use in order to help cleanse and heal your aura, is using crystals and meditating with them. And getting ones of the different colors of your chakras and using them and learning what they're for, and allowing them to do their job. Each crystal has its own magical little fairy in it, basically, an energy that comes in and does its job. And if you have crystals and they break, it's okay. I often say thank you for doing your job, and then I return it to the earth. If you have a crystal that you lose, it's because it was done with you, and crystals find their owners and they have their own little missions. So they kind of tend to get passed around. If you ever feel like giving one to someone, allow it to happen. It's beautiful, and they can be great support sets for you.
Oh, Lord. I'm going back up.
Let's go back up.
And have you ever seen the table? Sorry, I was thinking about this when you were talking. Have you ever seen like the table that is like the massage table, but it has like the lights with the crystals and orientation, I guess, for each chakra attached to a different crystal? Have you ever seen one of those?
No, it sounds
They're phenomenal, and I want to experience one so bad. But that's what you were like. I was thinking of doing my mind went into doing a healing with one of those with the quartz crystals over it to magnify all of the colors and to infuse back into the things. I was like, oh, I bet that just feels magical, because as you're talking, that's what I was thinking of. So Heather says, I have felt spirit spirit or energy. Sorry, something has just been swirling around me lately. And I'm so sorry I didn't go back all the way. Jennifer says, thank you, Mandee. And she also said, I am going to look into that more. Thank you. And then it was Heather's. And then Jennifer said, fire button. LOL. I don't know what that was in reference to, but I'm sorry,
just,
Jennifer.
we were probably on fire chatting about
yes.
something.
And Carrie says, funny because I actually said today that when I used to talk to kids about nutrition, I said we should eat the rainbow. And that is incredibly true. So much.
And remember, water is part of your rainbow. Water is part of that. Lots of water. Infuse it with love. Give it all the goodness. It's a big part of it.
Especially if you're an empath, man. It makes us unbalanced if we are dehydrated. And I am so awful at not drinking my water. And I can tell, like, when I'm exhausted, when I have exhaustion for no reason, it's generally because I'm super dehydrated. So make sure you do that. With the pulls and of everything going on out there, we are more prone to the pulling. So just keep that in mind. Be balanced. Water is actually a big part of that. Jennifer says, love this. My husband and I share very similar experiences. Carrie, Crystal, you might not be old enough to know who the Midge doll was. Midge Hadley was Barbie's best friend. My sister had one of those.
Barbie
so I do know.
That's so cool. Yeah, you're so Midge now. It's official. Thank you, Jennifer.
It is official. If I ever have to change my name, it's going to be Midge. Mitten Medium, aka Midge. I actually love it. Seriously. They're talking back and forth, and then Sophia says, I was told blue, indigo, purple aura. I love the visual. Oh, she had a blue, purple, indigo aura, and she loves the visual. I don't know what color my aura is. I tried to have my picture taken one time, and it broke. It broke on me. So
I'm sure it's changed since then.
Anyway. I was like, okay. Apparently I don't need to know this. Put this in the file of Crystal does not need to know quite yet, so we just won't figure it out, but it's fun. Ursula, a chakra set was my very first ever crystal purchase.
Nice.
I know. And I'm curious, like, Ursula, it came in a set. Did you know what was in it prior to purchase, or did you just feel prone to that set? Because like Mandee said, they pick us. We don't tend to pick them. We might think we know what we want, but if it's not meant for us, it definitely won't be meant for us. So I'm curious if that was something that you did. Heather, I don't know what my aura color is either. Jennifer says, oh my God, yes, I want one of those so bad. Tracy says, Heather, I was wondering the same thing. Carrie, is that a Migan table? I don't know. I don't know what they're called. I've just seen them and I thought they were awesome. Oh, they do have one?
Oh, okay. Maybe you're going to go check this thing out.
Well, it's funny because like I told them they needed one. I was like, you guys, because they have a healer there named Denise and she is a wonderful Reiki healer. And I go to her to help me. So, and then I'm going to have you take over from Jennifer's because I'm stealing the show here. So you can take over from hers that says I'm a caffeineaholic.
You want me to take it? What'd you say?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and take over. You can read the comments and answer some questions. I feel like I'm like taking over the whole show here. So sorry.
You're fantastic. You're awesome. Carrie said, my understanding about aura colors is that they change. I do agree with that. I think, like I was saying before, like it depends on what's going on within you and how much healing you've done and what's being reflected out. And they can change, just like our chakras. Sometimes our chakras look beautiful and amazing. Sometimes they're a little mucky, depending on what we've got going on there. And it's all an indication back into how we're vibrating at this time. Ursula said, nope, just went with it and still have all of them, which is cool.
Awesome.
Yep. Oh, and Ben confirmed, yes, they do change. The aura is actually the colors of your chakra emanating out into the energy field, and they can change with emotion and health. Exactly. So it depends on what you got going on, brewing up within you, and then it will be a reflection of that people can see. Jennifer admits she's horrible with water, and she definitely needs to do better. We all do. It's a hard thing. I've always really craved water. I've always, like, since the time I was a kid, I always like really wanted it. So I've lucked out with that. But a lot of other people have a really hard time with that. And even just making sure you get enough in throughout the day. I try to because I sit here at my desk a lot and I have like Zoom clients and meetings and things like that. And so filling it up filling it up like I have like a picture here, literally. And then I make sure like I go through it like several times a day. And if I don't, I feel it in my body and I can tell. So if there's even like a way you can have a little count system for yourself or something that helps you remember, or you just get a big, huge water bottle and you got to drink that throughout the day, it makes all the difference. And we really have to reparent ourselves with that. So sending all the love to everybody for that one. Carrie said that the place with the chakra thing, that they also have an infrared sauna. So you could enjoy that. Yeah, Heather said,
I saw that.
You did? Awesome.
I did see their infrared sauna.
Oh, and Carrie has gotten actual 3 different aura photos from different times in her life. Carrie, would you expand a little more and let us know? Did they have different colors? What did they tell you about it? What was so cool? Sophia said, I love how my aura colors remind me of Metatron. And Mandee mentioned that the energy around me a few weeks ago, definitely a reflection. Oh yeah, that's right. I think we pulled like a clearing your vibes card, and Metatron's the Metatron symbol came out. Oh, I wish I had one. I have one somewhere. It's not right here right now. But it's a sacred geometry symbol, and Metatron is an incredibly helpful healer and archangel, and comes in when you want to cleanse out your own stuff, whether it's clearing your vibes, whether it's coming in for some protection, transition, things like that. Archangel Metatron is super, super powerful.
Isn't he also like the one with knowledge? Isn't he like the one that has like all the knowledge type of situations?
That's a bold statement. Oh, I think a lot of them have a lot of knowledge, but he's certainly in the
so now like I swear to God, okay, so now I'm questioning whether or not this was a dream or a thing that happened. So now I'm like, wait a second, Crystal, trying to like think about this now a little bit more, and I swear he was like the holder of like the Akashic records, because I swear he came to me and told me that he held the Akashic records. Now I'm like really questioning myself. I'm like, was it him? Was it not? I could have sworn it was Metatron.
I think there's a lot of different archangels and things at the Akashic, like the Akashic records. That's a big deal. That's a huge area where all of our past lives live. Basically, it's like our souls. It's like our soul's records, basically, of like all the lifetimes we've lived in. And a lot of times there are gateways there, like, or there's gatekeepers there in order to help us to like access these things and learn that. And I think everybody kind of takes their time, maybe dabbling in it a little bit. But I don't know. I think we'll have to look on that, and I'll have to meditate.
I was gonna say I'm gonna have to Google and look it up. I don't even know. This was like a couple years ago, actually. So,
Kyle Gray is one of my favorite angel teacher people. He's awesome. This is his deck, Kyle Gray Angel Prayers. And in that Clear Your Vibe card that we picked for Sophia last week, which let me see if I can find it. We'll see. But it's got Metatron's symbol on there. Let's see if I can find it and hold it up. But basically, here it is. Clear Your Vibes. And then the thing right behind his head, this card cracks me up because I feel like he looks like Pauly D from Jersey Shore. It's always like the first thing I see, but so Metatron's cube is actually behind him, so it's hard to totally see all the circles and how it grids in together, but if you've seen that symbol, that's what it looks for. And actually Kyle Gray claims that Metatron is one of the few angels who's actually walked on earth as a human being, so he knows more than other angels what it can be like to be challenged by people and situations. His name means the throne next to God, and he has a special connection with the current era as he represents the new energy and the new connections that are opening up to the worlds and heavens. He is the angel who helps connect to us with the wisdom of God in our own daily life. So he does hold a lot of wisdom, and he carries it in, and he helps us in order to ground that in and to see what that's about. And he's walked as a human, and he's very divine to be showing up tonight too on this like radical new moon in Aquarius, because he's helping us to create new change within ourselves and within the earth. And it's not easy to do that. So we need a lot of guidance and a lot of love.
Sophia says a Dr. Strange looking Pauly D.
Yeah, totally. Something. It's just the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, buddy, that's hilarious.
Now I'm never going to see Pauly D the same.
I'm sure he would like to be called I'm sure he would like to look like an archangel. So we got comments coming in. You wanna read them?
So Ben said Metatron Metatron, the greatest of angels in Jewish myths and legends. Metatron is not a figure of the Hebrew Bible, but his name appears briefly in several passages of the Talmud. He is variously identified as the prince or angel of the presence, as Michael the archangel, or as Enoch after his bodily ascent into heaven. Sorry, reading apparently is a problem for me today.
Another suggestion of him walking as a human first. There are, it's kind of rare, they say, for humans to actually become angels, or particularly archangels, but it is possible. And they'll become a saint after sometimes.
We're going to have to have a fun conversations about some of the things that archangels have done in our midst at some point, because man, have I had some fun interactions with archangels, specifically Michael, because I call on him so much in certain situations. But that dude, man, he is fun.
That's who's on the front of the deck in this one.
He's like
his energy.
I was like, he just is. I don't know. I feel like angels come differently to us. I based on some of the things I've heard other people say, like the energy doesn't match up for me and how I receive them as it does with other people. So I don't know if it's just a vibrational of our own energy bringing them in and them interacting with us.
It all is. Even what we see and hear, it's what they're trying to transmute so that we can understand it. It's all energy being transmuted.
But he's fun. I like Michael. Him and I get along very well. He's very childlike, also like teenage ego man sometimes is how I'm going to put him sometimes around me. It's kind of like, he thinks he's got all of his crap together, but one time he got knocked on his butt and it was hilarious. Me too. We have Jennifer that says, I believe Michael can be with you and everywhere at the same time. I've always seen a lot of Enoch. I cannot read tonight, guys. I'm so sorry. I've seen also a lot about Enoch, interesting stuff. It is actually, once you look into it a little bit more, it's pretty deep, but it's very fun to look into. That was it. Other than LOL, those are.
Awesome.
Sorry. I don't know where my brain is right now. I have absolutely no clue what's happening, but I feel like I'm just like poof, somewhere else. And then I come back every now and then and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still here reading. I'm trying to read. There's
a lot of energies going on and flowing right now, and a lot of the new coming in. And it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity right now for us to just tune in, to get real on what's rising, what's falling away, and what energies we're wanting to serve at this time. And then that comes with all kinds of symptoms and different things coming up. So it makes sense to me.
I was like, yeah, I'm always like, okay, so Crystal has those days where her head just decides that it's going to do its own thing. It's almost like my brain turns off is the best way I can put it. Spirit in me is always like, poof, it's always doing things. But sometimes my brain is just like, and everything else takes over. And I don't even question it anymore. At first, I thought I had dementia.
And then what happens? Do you remember, or do you come back in, or what made you?
I do. And I kind of saw the same thing with like,
what was your process in all this?
Well, actually there is no process. It's just like, it's on and off sometimes. And it really is around certain vibrational fields or during different times. Like when I first started, I guess, in the growth experience and the retrogrades, they used to have this effect on me. And so it wasn't necessarily, I didn't know it was a retrograde until somebody told me that there was a retrograde. And then I started paying a little bit more attention to what was taking place. And it was almost like instead of being put into a catapult, it's almost like reversing yourself in a catapult. So it's almost like a back to this weird state. And it's almost like my brain stays stuck and everything else keeps moving around me. And so it's just a really weird vibe. I essentially, sometimes I forget words. I can't talk. People look at me and then I'll look at somebody else and be like, words. I cannot communicate what's supposed to come out of my mouth. Words change. I start speaking things almost like how they're spelled versus how they're supposed to be pronounced. And I can't make them come out the way that they're supposed to. And it's literally like my brain gets trapped inside of my head and my mouth is just like, no, take a side, Steve. We're not doing this. We're taking control. And it's so weird because I'm like, I just give up in that moment. I'm like, okay, apparently this is just my life.
So if you take a pause, a reset, take a break and come back, does it reset?
Not always, but it also depends on the energy around me, because sometimes it can last like a day. There's some days where it's just like a day, and there are other days where it lasts a little bit longer. Like this was something that more started taking place halfway through my day today, and I was just like, okay, so today's going to be one of those days. But I feel like sometimes if I were to put my finger on it, I almost want to say that sometimes it's almost just my brain's way of adjusting and taking, I think taking some time, because in that, like we talked about in the very beginning and why I decided to go back to therapy and stuff like that, you know, anxiety, trauma, this stuff. Sometimes it's so overworked that I think it needs a break.
Yeah.
Because if I don't take the break, I can't do the things that I need to do with clients.
Yep.
So I think they pull me back and say, hold up a second, we're not doing this. We're just taking control for the moment. And you'll be back on track in whatever time we want you to. We'll put you back on the line. And then I can get back to it. Because in those moments, it's not like I don't over process. I don't overthink. I don't take myself down like a crazy hole. I just am in those moments. And so sometimes I think that might be the pattern, but I also don't necessarily know that that would be it, because then that means that they would in some form be able to do stuff without free will being involved. And you know, but I don't care if they do. Either way, I'm open to whatever they feel is the best for me. And I think maybe that's what they're working from.
You know, I saw a meme earlier. I've seen it a couple times, but it says like, I spiritualed so hard I pulled a chakra. And like sometimes that happens, like when we're just pushing too hard and we're overthinking and we're ruminating on things, sometimes we need to get shut down and we need to take a little time out. And it's okay to like honor our body, and we're not supposed to be constantly moving, and you know, our brains are not supposed to be constantly happening at that time. We got some things coming in here. Brain fog.
Yes, we do.
Brain fog's a symptom that happens often. And you've suffered with fibromyalgia, and that can always be a symptom of that too. Jennifer said, I feel like I'm going to have it bad. Oh no. Ben said telepathy.
No, he said telepathy, because that's one of those stupid words that every single time I try to say it, I'm like, telepathy, and I will slow myself down and I get so frustrated. I'm like, why can't I say it the right way? It's also I hate it. See, I'm like trying to think about it. I know what it is. It's like being hypnotized but not being able to speak the words. Photography, I can't say it the way it's supposed to be said, and it just gets so frustrating to me. But it's the weirdest thing.
Maybe that's maybe that's just your old soul and she wants to honor it the old way.
Oh, it's like, why? It's my old lady kicking out.
And you know what? I think we're only humans. We're all allowed to have a couple glitches every now and then. I have a hard time with the word, and I literally talk about spiritual gifts all the time, but I have a hard time saying that word, like the word gift. Like it's hard for me. Like you're gifted.
It's like stewing. Cool Whip. It's like, why is there such an H there? I don't know.
I like this comment from Sophia. It reminds me of light language. And it's interesting because when you were talking about it, sometimes we do separate a little and channel, and different things come in. And there is this separation within your own brain. And it feels like your brain's trapped in your brain. But often there's a lot of different things coming in at that time for us to kind of zoom out, have that matrix moment, and take a look at it.
Yeah.
So thanks for bringing that up, Sophia. I like that a lot. Jennifer said, do you tell me? Oh, go ahead.
No. Go. You can go ahead and read the stuff.
Okay. Jennifer said, do tell Sophia. Heather said, yes, I will sometimes and try something and stutter. I will try to say something sometimes and stutter. I just can't get it out some days. I think that's a normal human thing, guys. I really do.
Yeah.
Sophia said to Jennifer, I've seen videos of people channeling, and it's different language, and it's like gibberish and the sounds, but it gives me chills. So light language is this incredible universal language that we can all see, we can all feel it. We can see it. It'll come in symbols. It sounds like tongues sometimes. And there's actually tons of different dialects and languages within light language too, but it sounds very primal. It sounds very Sanskrit-y. And what'll happen, as Sophia was saying, when you're receiving light language, or listening to it, you literally feel it in your bones. You feel it in a vibrational at a cellular level, and it's like, and expands everything. And it's a really cool experience. And people can say it, they can sing it, they can talk it, they can write it, they can create symbols out of it and see art and create art out of it. It's actually totally amazing. So if you're interested in light language, check it out. It's beautiful. Jennifer said good chills. So like speaking in tongues. Yes, good chills. And yes, like speaking in tongues. Jennifer said that's light language. Ben said bingo. And Ursula said, I often describe the Mercury retrograde experiences as functioning in quicksand. Ursula is a psychologist at Sea Goddess Healing Arts, and that's what it's like. It is like functioning in quicksand because things slow down. We got to go retro. We can't be in growth all the time. So retrogrades come back so that we can implement all of the tools and lessons and things that we've learned and kind of, we were a little more tested. That's why things get difficult, because we got to see how far we came and then integrate things and practice what we preach and leave things that are no longer serving us. So that quicksand is there to give us a serious introspective look, and it can feel really heavy.
Yes, and it can feel terrifying because you're like trying to stay afloat sometimes and take that breath, but at the end it's usually a pretty cool, cleansing, healing experience. I don't know, after retrogrades I usually feel a lot better.
Oh yeah, it's like a purge, usually, often. Yes. And then things like lighten up for you. Ben said, I've told Crystal that I think we are taught English and it's remembered right brain, and it is remembered right brained. The more of Crystal's right brain she uses to channel, the more she says the word and the way it's spelled.
Yeah, that's what he thinks. He was like, I feel like you just are like, shoo, getting closer to like shutting down that one part of your brain that, and I wish I was in my actual daily life, but when I channel, does seem to be a big thing. I've seen it, and it's funny because when I started to talk and you were like, oh, do it. And then I was like, no, I'll wait because, this is neither here nor there. Ben used to have what was called a seizures. He actually was diagnosed with epilepsy. He does not have epilepsy. And it was really weird because like in these moments, it was very funny because Crystal's really, really careful about what I say to people because I'm not a doctor. But Spirit was telling me he was not experiencing an epileptic seizure. What he was doing was everything was too much for him. Life was too much for him. And so this was his way literally of separating himself out. And in these moments, he would be in such a state of trance where he would be there, but he would be having full-on conversations with somebody who was not in the room. That's not a seizure. Okay. And they called them complex partial seizures, but I went to I ended up going because we weren't dating at the time, but we ended up dating. And I had went to some of these appointments and they had no clue. They called it a complex partial seizure because they didn't know what to call it. They had absolutely no clue what was going on with him. How my guide said, like, when I saw that, I was like, hold up a second. Because what we're experiencing right now is not this. He almost literally you could see him. His body would shut down. Eyes would become weird, glossy, glazy. And then the next thing you know, he would be in this state where he'd be sitting back and then he'd open his eyes and start having a conversation completely outside of himself with somebody, an actual conversation, like somebody was standing right beside him and he'd be answering it and talking back. So it was a very strange thing. Our brains and our systems can do things in states of like overwhelm. And it really just, whatever the overwhelm is. And it was so fun, but terrifying to medical professionals. Like they were terrified. We have funny stories about him and his seizures.
Intense, and I'm sending you guys so much love. And our bodies will do that when we do get stressed and overwhelmed and to the point where it's just way too much. We will manifest things in our bodies. We will check out and we'll get, knocked out a little bit and be able to talk to spirit sometimes. It's interesting. There's a great hypnotherapist, Marissa Peer, and she was talking recently about, I was listening to a talk and she shared how people manifest all the time. Oh, I wish I had a day off. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I don't want to go to work tomorrow and do this presentation. And then you wake up with a migraine or you wake up really sick, and it's your body protecting you, saying, well, you
Yep.
told me you didn't want to go and do this. So, now I'm going to protect you and give you the excuse not to. And our vessels and our bodies really are that sensitive. So it's really important that we're mindful of what we say to ourselves, because you really got to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, it's super cool. Now I'm gonna have to have a talk with Ben and ask him if he ever remembers any of the things that happened when he was out, I guess.
Or if they recorded it, maybe that'd be cool to know.
I was gonna say, and then talk about that a little bit. But it was funny because he hasn't been on seizure meds in forever, and he has had zero problems since he decided to take a step in the right direction for his own healing. Once he opened the door to his own healing, all of that stopped.
How beautiful.
It was craziness. Our bodies do crazy things, and I'm sure you see it a lot because you've actually dealt with people in more of those, as a social worker, as somebody who deals with the trauma stuff. I'm sure you've seen a lot of clients that have dealt with some of those things where their life was just in too much overwhelm to deal with anything at all. And so I kind of think that's what multiple personalities are. I feel like it's just a state of overwhelm that we have inside of ourselves. So we essentially create somebody who can deal with the pressure of this situation, or maybe be and take on a personality that we wished we had within ourselves to be that fighter, to be that person. And that's why it's not necessarily that person has different personalities. They just have different forms of their ego that chooses to take a step up and the other ones sit back. So it's not that it's not happening or not true. I think that it's just a way for their body to kind of experience trauma or heal through trauma, or even disassociate essentially from trauma in those moments. That's how my guides have presented that to me.
I think there's a lot of evidence out there and to support your theory. I think a lot of it all comes down with how we get a little broken into how we're responding to the overwhelm and the trauma, and it presents differently in everybody. And a lot of times with mental illness, it's a direct connection to that feeling and sense of overwhelm. And then our bodies and our minds handle it in all kinds of different ways. And we've all sat there. Yeah, we've all sat in places where we're just not feeling the best, no matter how successful you are, no matter how smart you are, this or that. Like, it's a human experience. And I always say, like, even if you have some sort of bout with mental illness, treat it the same way you would if you broke your leg. If you broke your leg, like, okay, you need a little bit of medicine for a little bit. You need to rest it for a little bit. You need to just start doing therapy on it. Like, it's the same process. And we need to treat our mental health that way too. And there's still such a stigma around it. And really, the mental stuff's the hardest stuff that we got to deal with.
See, I love that you touched on that a little. One of my pet peeves, I have a couple of them, Mandee. We talk about that every now and then, but one of my pet peeves are spiritual people not talking about the realness of mental health. Okay, so like whether you're an empath or not, that doesn't mean that we can't have traits of different mental illnesses that are taking place in our body because of some of the things that are going on. And I think it's irresponsible for healers to not put the two and two together and be like, oh, you're an empath, you're not this, or you're this and you're not that. What qualifies you? I can understand that I'm not a social worker. I'm not Mandee. I have great things to lay on the table for anybody who comes to me. However, I didn't go to school to be these things. And so I'm not qualified, I guess, in those ways to say that. I'll give you what Spirit's showing me or presenting to me. But also, if you're feeling these ways, then that means there's some sort of imbalance taking place and you need to go to therapy. You need to see somebody who is a little bit more in tune with these things. It doesn't mean you're broken. We're not broken. We're never broken. There may be right now some kind of an imbalance in your brain system, and you may need ways to function that differently, or medications even, if you can find something that works for you. There is no shame in that. And to talk about things in a spiritual mindset only and shut down the ability to understand that there are people who do struggle with certain things. That's literally part of the trauma. Trauma creates different mental, emotional unawarenesses, such as bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder. These are things that sometimes are actually created from our environments as children. And so if somebody went through a fair amount of trauma, it's only fair to say that they may be experiencing that trauma in different ways and mental, emotional imbalance as they got older and didn't know how to deal with those struggles and those traumas. And so talk about that. Like, go get yourself some help, because there's nothing wrong with that. And that doesn't mean you're broken. You can be an empath and bipolar. There's no separation in those things. You have to take responsibility for your actions, reactions, and how you speak to people. And if you're imbalanced, well, that's a sign of being a little bit manic. Are you more depressed? That's a sign of being depressed. If you're anxious all the time, that's a sign of anxiety. get those things looked at if you don't have the tools in your own life to fix them. But don't deal with just the spiritual because that makes you feel more comfortable in your life. We can be all of those things together and working through them, healing them. That's all it's about.
And my favorite definition of a healer, whether, it's a doctor or a coach or a therapist or an aromatherapist, whatever it is, a healer is someone who triggers within you the ability to heal yourself. So if you're going and getting a sound bath and you're allowing yourself to receive it, that healer is triggering within you the ability for you to heal yourself. So it's your body still doing the things, the therapist can teach you all the tools and coping mechanisms in the world. But if you don't actually do them yourself or start implementing them or embodying them, which is a lot about what this new revolutionary new moon energy is about, then, nobody can help you. You got to be able to help yourself. People can only help you as much as you can help yourself. And even when you're laid up in a hospital and there's nurses coming in and changing your wounds and all of those things, they're helping you to heal. You are still the one healing.
Yep. It's all you. It's all you, and you're worth it. And you can do it. As hard as it seems and as the biggest struggle it may be and whatever crap it tears up, you can still do it.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's why Mandee and I meet, because we believe you can. But we also understand we struggle because we're people too. We got here through struggle. So, we understand that.
We're merely humans, all of us.
So, Mandee, it is 8:00. Where do people reach you and Ursula and all the beautiful gods and goddesses that are a part of Sea Goddess Healing Arts?
Yes, of course. I just want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in and appreciate you all showing up. I like that Ben said that's why it's called spelling. Of course it is. Ursula gave some thumbs up and Jennifer agreed we got to put the work in. And Tracy can't believe how fast an hour goes. I know. I wish the workout didn't take that fast too, right? It doesn't. You're on the yoga mat and you're like, wow, I've been here for an hour and it's been 10 minutes. How do you find me? I'm Mandee Elam. I am on SeaGoddessHealingArts.com. I'd be honored to hold soul space with you and work with you. We have all kinds of amazing healers and modalities and options out there. And as Heather pointed out, we have a class coming up in a couple weeks, a full moon workshop that if it feels in alignment, how to build a relationship with your angels. We'd love for you to drop in and tune in. Give us a like, a share, a follow on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And it's such an honor always, Crystal, to hold soul space with you and all of you amazing beings for tuning in and holding space and being here with us. Crystal, what do you have coming up and how do they get a hold of you?
I've got a lot coming up, but not necessarily in the business department. That'll be a different chat for a different day because next week we'll be able to chat about that. But anyway, you can contact me through my website at midmittenmedium.com, or you can find me at Spirit Speaks, either on Facebook or YouTube. And so Mandee said all the right things. I would really love for some of the other people, if ever open at Sea Goddess Healing Arts, because I know I got a couple of those watching here tonight. There were at least. Open the door for them to come on too, because I just feel like they're all beautiful, wonderful people who can bring something so magical to the table of all of these people who have literally decided that we're essentially all a home together. And I think that's literally what it's about. And so to have a whole healing group of people that can talk about it, I think it would be amazing. So tell them the door is always open to having conversations because we all need to hear it. And yes, thank you all very much. I hope you have a beautiful, blessed week. And thank you, Mandee, again. You're wonderful. I love you.
Love you. Love you guys. Thank you all so much. Have a great week.